Thank you very much, Chair. Your Excellency, Secretary General of ASEAN, Secretary East, Mr. Anil Vadva, distinguished panelists, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I think we've had three very seminal addresses this morning by the Commerce and Industry Minister, His Excellency the Secretary General, and then by Secretary East. So much of what we'll have to say is going to be repetitive. And in any case, the vision statement is quite clear and sets out the path for the future. But I shall take the chance and be repetitive, because first it's important to set up the context in which we are discussing these things. And the context is that there is a shift of the global center of gravity to Asia. This is the result of the Asian resurgence and rapid economic growth. The Look East policy of India is a process by India reaching out and participating in this dynamic. Initiated in early 1990s, it was a natural corollary to the economic reform agenda launched in 1991 in India and of Indian efforts towards globalization. Closer relations with countries of ASEAN was at its core, given their centrality in the evolving economic and political architecture of the region. The ASEAN-India partnership serves the basic objectives of the nations of the region: peace and stability, progress and prosperity. The vision statement adopted by the heads of state government at the ASEAN-India commemorative summit held in Delhi in December 2012 to mark the 20th anniversary of their partnership declares that the partnership stands elevated to a strategic partnership, and this is because of the very criticality achieved by the partnership. The vision statement derives from the comprehensive report of the Eminent Persons Group, which underlined that ASEAN and India share the vision for a peaceful, prosperous and resurgent Asia, contributing to global peace and security. As we have been told this morning, ASEAN and India constitute a region of 1.8 billion people with a GDP of over 3.8 trillion. This is a huge economic space. India's free trade agreement, which will become a comprehensive one shortly, is creating a huge market for the region, in which intra-regional trade was already over $80 billion. ASEAN and India have multifaceted cooperation in place, covering political, economic, social and cultural areas, supported by the ASEAN-India Plan of Action. And Secretary East had just pointed out that over 40 such meetings took place over the last 2 years, with 26 separate dialogue initiatives. ASEAN and India strengthening physical, digital and people-to-people connectivity, and with the launch of the ASEAN-India Trade and Transit Agreement, and with the coming of that, we will have in place a very comprehensive system of cooperating with each other and sending goods and services across. Myanmar is our land bridge to ASEAN, and between ASEAN and India there exists civilizational ties. The two also cooperate in ensuring the security of the sea lanes of communications and addressing non-traditional threats of piracy, terrorism, extremism and narcotics. In the broader ASEAN region, India and ASEAN cooperate closely under the aegis of the ASEAN-centered political structures, the EAS, the ASEAN Regional Forum, the ASEAN Defense Ministers Plus, and the negotiation for the creation of a region-wide free economic space known as the ASEAN Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP. In order to translate the vision statement, ASEAN and India would need to further strengthen relevant institutional mechanism and broaden the network between government institutions, parliamentarians, business circles, scientists, think tanks, media, youth and other stakeholders. The linkages exist already, and the trick is to make the exchanges more frequent and regular. The ASEAN-India Center, which has been established at RIS, will be a very strong pillar in this future activity in India. We will also have to focus on capacity building, partnership, especially within the next generation. We have to promote defense and military exchanges and cooperation, and foster constructive dialogue and consultations on political and security issues. I would suggest that we have formal and informal dialogues at working levels, and even 1.5 dialogues in this particular area. We should foster greater security cooperation and information sharing to address traditional and non-traditional security challenges, including transnational crimes, terrorism and drug trafficking. ASEAN and India should, I suggest, cooperate to combat transnational crimes and drug addiction and trafficking. We should also promote maritime security and freedom of navigation and the safety of sea lanes of communications for unfettered movement of trade. I would suggest that we set up a 1.5 track 1.5 initiative to discuss maritime security and freedom. We should advance regional economic cooperation and cooperate in engaging with emerging regional economic architecture. And we need to exchange views between ASEAN and India and the ASEAN and India think tanks on what our vision for RCEP will be. We should realize the ASEAN-India free trade area, encourage business relations, and achieve a target that we have set for ourselves, and even double it within the next 10 years. We should look at various models of infrastructure creation of value chains through the PPP model, support SME cooperation, and I would think the ASEAN-India Trade and Industry Center, which the Commerce and Industry Minister talked about this morning, would help in this, as well as the ASEAN-India Business Center to be set up in Malaysia. We should strengthen cooperation in agriculture and energy sectors and the use of appropriate technologies towards ensuring long-term food and energy security. I would specifically emphasize rice and rice research, because this is a basic staple of consumption in both India and the ASEAN region. We also should need to look at health and pharmaceutical development, and perhaps ASEAN and India could cooperate in developing vaccines against malaria, which affects us all in this region. We should work together towards overcoming challenges from climate change and natural disasters. ASEAN and India has the largest combined biodiversity in the world, and we should cooperate in preserving that. Finally, we should encourage the study, dissemination, and knowledge about civilizational links between ASEAN and India, and preserve, protect, and restore symbols and structures representing civilizational bond between ASEAN and India. We have created a museum, the MGC Museum in Siem Reap, to preserve textile traditions in ASEAN and India, and we should perhaps replicate it with university exchanges, courses, capacity building, and help in the achievement of the ASEAN community. And especially we should also center our cooperation around the Nalanda University. We have to continue the special focus on CLMV countries and India's northeast, which is a linkage between the two regions. Enhancing air, sea and land connectivity between ASEAN and India through ASEAN-India connectivity projects would be very important. And we should link tourism with business hubs and places of civilizational interest. We would need to incorporate all this into our plan of action and implement them. The trick, And the devil is in the details. The ideas are all there. We have to just basically implement them. The vision of multifaceted strengthening of the relationship derives from the trend of the last 2 decades, which has been very encouraging, and the potential that exists, but its realization will require political will, resources, time and effort. I thank you. I think I finished in 5 minutes.